This world is insane. For almost 3 years I've been building a massive steampunk city with secrets galore. Last episode I went from this to this, removing over 1 million blocks to create this mega cave. But this looks pretty empty, so it's time to start the massive job of filling it up. And that means we need a little more digging. And this is the first section that I've got plans for because it's also the least finished of all of them. So once again it's time to break out the pickaxes. Yeah, manually digging deep slate is pain. But now this is done, it's ready for me to start developing it, and I've uncovered another massive cave through here. And although I've not even started filling in this massive cave here, it's already giving me ideas for a potential expansion in the future. But at the moment, I am going to be covering this up with something that I'm going to be building very soon. After pulling together some resources, I've set myself out a little working area, and I'm hoping to clean up some of this terrain as I go, because we've got various different spots of things like the granite and the diorite that just don't look great. But my main resources are here ready to go, and I'll give you some progress updates as I'm building. So I've made some progress, and this now matches up to the style that we've got up here. There's another one that I'm going to put in the middle in a minute, but I just wanted to show you how I'm getting on, because I've also taken out all of the ugly bits of the diorite and such that were in this section. I do think it looks better. I have put in some cobblestone that I'm not convinced about yet, so let me know in the comments if you think the cobblestone should stay. But now I've got to get back up here and do this middle box. The middle box is done, and it helps to break up the flow between these two nicely, but I do have some decorating to do between these. I'm also absolutely loving how much nicer it looks now that I've cleaned up a bit more of this. I'm obviously not going to do the ceiling because, as I said before, that is going to be done in some sculk in the future. But for that, I need to wait till we've got the happy ghasts, which should be very soon. But now I need to switch out my resources and finish off this section. And the decoration for this is now done, and I've used the same design for the pipes with the slime in as I have above ground. And I love how this ties these different levels of verticality together. And as you can see, we've got one of the big slime tanks over here, and that feeds through into this section with the slime going off, doing various different things in the steampunk world. And the next stage is going to be covering up this area of ground, and that is going to have the pink river coming through here and then continuing down to a pool here. So I need to get back to the storage system and collect myself some quartz and lots of glass. And with all of those collected, it's time to start decorating this floor. And the floor area here is now complete, and I have done the rest of this lovely pink river that comes right the way through this hole here, and that gives this section a much more coherent look, with this big pool then flowing out down here. And as you'll see, I've used a slightly different flooring over here with the pale moss and some tuff and some of the lovely torch flowers. Those are absolutely brilliant, and it also tells you when it's nighttime. These are going to be the placements for some trees that I'm going to build. But this isn't going to be any ordinary tree. These are going to be special steampunk trees that will fit in a bit more with the style and aesthetic that I'm going for. And that's going to be using the stripped pale oak for the trunks and some of the oxidized and weathered copper grates for the leaves. So it's going to have a little bit of a Godswood feel from Game of Thrones to it, but with green leaves rather than the red ones. Here's the first of them to give you a feel of how it's going to look, and I really love this design, and these copper grates are perfect for leaves on a tree. It just looks a little bit industrial, but also it manages to keep that organicness. And no, I'm not sure organicness is even a word, but whatever it is, it's got it, and I like it. And I'm going to have quite a few of them crammed in here, so that whilst you're down here, you can't really tell that you're in this massive cave. So it's going to be a bit of an escape, with a taste of the outside very much inside this cave. And with the next two trees done, you can start to get the feel how it's going to look inside this. and it's going to be a lot more claustrophobic. And with the rest of the trees complete, it is an entirely different environment down here, and I absolutely love it. These trees just make such a difference, and when you're down here you just cannot tell that you're in this giant cave. And gazing down from up here looks incredible as well. The copper really gives a contrast to the deep slate, and in front of this machinery here it just looks really, really cool. However, we have got a big gap over here, and I will need to be sorting that soon. But before that, I need to take the rest of the stuff back to the storage area and get it all put back into the storage system. But now it's time to do something that I've been putting off for quite some time. Checking out the trial chambers. Yep, I figured now the new update is out with the happy gas. I can't wait for all the mods to update so I can upgrade this world. But what kind of resourceful Minecrafter would I be if I didn't raid a trial chamber for copper? Because although I have my awesome automated copper aging facility and the amazing ENX04 copper farm, sadly I can't use it as much because Mojang have changed how damage is applied when you have Thorn's armor on. So if I use it for too long AFK, then I'm basically gonna die. And having experienced that here a couple of times, coming back and trying to get my stuff is no fun at all. So it's time to pick up some potions of bad omen and head into the wilderness looking for a trial chamber. But not until I've enchanted myself a new bow, because this one is absolutely shot to pieces. And with a new mega bow in hand, it's time to head out in search of new chunks and a trial chamber. And I'm going out this way across the mountains because I haven't really travelled out this way too far. And a couple more of these won't go amiss. And yeah, didn't need to go far. I'm pretty sure that this here indicates some new chunks, because otherwise this is just cursed. With the new chunks identified, it wasn't long before I was able to find my first trial chamber. The entrance I made was punishing to say the least, with 5 bogged spawners in the first room. That led to some seriously hairy moments. But I somehow managed to survive and collect the rewards. I explored some more and had my first breeze encounters and got some keys. But the generation of the trial chamber was scuffed and there weren't any loot cages to cache them in. So I went looking for another trial chamber and found a much, much bigger one. It was perfect for exploring and to try my first bad omen trials. Again, some hairy moments followed, but to my shock, I survived those as well, and was able to cash in all of my keys. But no heavy core this time, so that'll have to wait for another day. But now it's time for the real reason I'm here, and the loot that I'm truly after. It's time to rip it down, so I've set myself out a beacon, I've got the beacon effect ready to go, and it's time to get digging. Man, I'm gonna need another break from digging after this. Now that I've done a whole bunch of digging, again, I've managed to use up all of the pickaxes that I have with me. So that is 6 full netherite pickaxes, clearing out all of this space and the space over there, and there is still loads and loads to go. But after fixing those up and dropping some of the resources off home, it was back to the digging grind. And whilst that time lapse is going, it's just a quick note to say that I will be attending as a guest the Bristol Anime and Gaming Convention on the 23rd of August 2025, so this year, in Bristol in the United Kingdom. And whilst I'm there, I'll be doing a panel on becoming a Minecraft YouTuber and how to build better. So if any of you can make it, the link is in the description, and I'd love to see you and meet you there. And after an absolutely monumental effort, this place, apart from that bit which is full of water and I couldn't be bothered to drain it, is completely cleared out. And we've got chests and chests just full of resources going all the way down here with various different things in, mainly tough bricks. And this space is now massive. If we fly over, you can see that I have closed off all of these different spawners, and there's sections right the way around. So whenever I want to use the spawners or cash in anything into any of these, like that one is still active and I need to mark some of them that are, then I can come here and I can get whatever resources I want from whatever mob it is, but mainly it's going to be in this section here, because if I do want any breezes, this one's got a double breeze spawner, and I can get all the breeze rods and all of the wind charges that I can need. But it's good that I've been able to do this, because the last 2 weeks I haven't really been able to record because I've been really ill, so my voice hasn't been great. However, what I have been able to do is digging, and as you can see from this, I did a lot of it. But now I'm going to fill up all of these shulker boxes and take those ones as well, and start the trips back and forwards to the base over there to get this stuff back to storage. 3 full trips with my pockets stuffed full of shulker boxes later, and I finally managed to get all of these tough bricks across. And I had to set out an extra section because we've got all of these full of tough bricks. We've got some of the chiseled tuff as well. And then I had to move out and split some of my copper. And that's not even including my main copper reserves, where I am now stuffed full of all of the copper that I could possibly need. And that's going to make some of the upcoming builds a whole lot easier. But now it's time to head back down to the cave, because I have very limited ways of accessing this place. We've obviously got this water tube and this bubble elevator to and from the storage system, and also this secret ladder that I added from the map room. And one more teeny tiny entrance here that can drop you down into the hole. But I want to make this place really accessible. And the way that I'm going to do that is from this building here. So I've never been really happy with the interior that I've done. I love this bit, which is like a stone generator with the lava here and the water underneath. But this bit here, I'm not so sure about. But directly beneath this is the edge of the cave. So by digging through right about here, I will be able to make a connection from above down through to this section here. And I probably want to add in some form of elevator shaft. So I've made some changes, firstly to the entrance of this building, and I still think there's probably more that I'm going to do with this. I'm not that happy. I think it's just a bit bland, a bit boring. So I'll have a think and probably upgrade that. But here, this is the main thing. I wanted somewhere where I could quite easily fly in and then get down into the Undercity beneath. So I've dug out this big hole. Yep, more digging. And if we swoop down through here and over this way, avoiding all of the slimes. Come here, you. I'm trying to do a piece to camera. You can see the hole is all the way up there. I've tried to blend it in, so I've taken out some of the corners. I'll probably take out that block and smooth things out a little bit more. So we've got the hole coming in, and it comes all the way down to this section here. So again, I've got to clear some of this out and work out what I'm going to do at the bottom here. But at least this gives me a nice way to get in from the outside. And now I've got to clean up a couple more of these slimes and work out what I'm going to do for the main structure. And after much tweaking and finagling, I think I've got something that I'm comfortable with. So similar to the other elevators that we've got over in the different areas in the base, I've used just the polished deep slate as a base, and I've used this, the refined amethystine in here for the lighting, because the two tones go really well together. And if we drop down here and fly out, taking not too much damage on the way, we've got some pretty big holes, and I've just rounded these off on the way up. I've missed one, I just noticed that, so I'll need to go and fix that in a minute. But whilst I was doing this, I was able to add in some of the cobblestone and clear up, certainly around this area at least, some of the walls similar to what I did here. But that is going to be a massive job to do that on the rest of this cave, because it's absolutely huge. So I'm definitely going to upgrade to a world with the Happy Ghast very soon. But now as I head down the stairs, I need to work out the mechanism and get myself an actual car in this space as well, because having a lift like this at the moment is just a lift shaft. I need the lift itself, so I'm going to have some way to get up to this level, which is going to be the level that we bored, and then going to have a lot of chains coming all the way down. Now I don't know if I'm going to have the big chains like we've got for these lights, or probably more likely just regular ones, but I'll bring you back to show the finished result. And now I am done, and the lift car is there with some passengers on board. Of course, there is a slime vat to help power it, which is only appropriate with all of the slime that tend to hang around by this area. And I've added some straw statues to give it some life here. And of course, an ender chest, because it's always useful to have those dotted around. And this performs its purpose of being able to fly inside this and then head up to the top. And when you get up here, you've got some controls that you can call the lift, a couple more straw statues, and here on the outside I've made it much more colourful using the resin bricks, and I'm much happier with how this looks now. Even though the colour scheme does blend in a little bit, it's also a lot more vibrant and more fitting with the area itself. And back down here I have kept the theme going on with the pipes that lead right the way from the top, which just ties this into the environment a bit better. But all in all, I'm really pleased with how this has gone. And yeah, it's another route to get in and out of my mega cave, which will make traveling so much easier. But now back over to this forest area, because I need to address this space here. Obviously, some of you probably guessed that there's something that's going to be built here, and that is going to be the first true structure of the mega cave area. And just because we're underground, don't think that we've got away from some factories. So it's time to head away from my upgraded building and access back to the storage system to pick up all of the resources that I'm going to need for this factory build. And after much collecting, I've got all of the different resources that I'm going to need for this build all laid out, ready to go, including some of my other stuff. And I am going to be building over here, and it's going to go over and above this section. So for the last time of the episode, it is time-lapse time. With the build done, I finished off the decoration and added some straw statues for some life, and I love how this looks. This area is so much better now. I've actually got something inside the giant cave itself. And if we head down the steps, we can go in the main entrance here. And as we go in, I wanted to have a very busy and cluttered look inside this build. So there's lots going on, lots of barrels going on, lots of little machines, lots of nooks and crannies tucked around the corner, some people investigating that main machine that runs all the way up through the center of the build. Then up here we've got some filing and some sleeping areas and somebody having a little nap over there, whilst this machine with the honey in the middle keeps going all the way up. And I love how these crafters look as kind of control panels as well. And then heading up to the next floor, we've got a bit of a library section. I've put books on most of the bookshelves. Let's just put one there, and that makes it look a lot better. There's another one there that could definitely do with a book, like so. And yeah, that looks really good. This then comes through into the second section. I'll show you that in a minute, because we do have an attic up the top, and somebody has got themselves caught in a cobweb. So yeah, this is where you get the good views out over the little under forest that we've got here, but the machine finishes up at the top. Then into this next section, we've got this lovely lime green wall. I just felt like doing a big lime wall. I don't know quite why. And some slime here. And then there are people running the machinery itself. And then again, very busy, quite cluttered in here for deliberate purposes. And then another machine that's connected up to this huge chimney outside, which, as we can see, is pumping smoke into the air. So overall, I love how this looks. We've added in even a vehicle down here. Now, I will need to think about how I can actually connect this up to the road systems on the base. So if anybody's got any ideas about how I can do that, please let me know in the comments. Maybe some kind of a vehicle elevator or something. But yeah, overall, I do love this look, and I particularly love how this interacts with this under forest down here. I've added in some more lighting as well, and of course all of the life that comes from the straw statues themselves, whilst they're all here doing various little things like looking at the torch flowers. So yeah, I love this look, I love the feel of this area, and I'm really pleased. But there's one more thing that I want to do before the end of the episode, and that is by using some of these wind charges, I can get myself from down here right the way up through that little hole, and I won't need to use any rockets, because when you use a wind charge to jump, you can get some epic height, and you can use these out of dispensers to create yourself a launcher. So if I line myself up right with it and put a system here where I can launch directly upwards, that'll give me a perfect solution for exiting my mega cave. And with a bit of setup, I've created something that I hope will work. Basically, if I stand here on the middle of this trapdoor and I drop myself down, it fires me up, but it doesn't quite give me enough, and it closes the trapdoor as well, height to get out of this little hole. So let's try that one more time. Gets me most of the way up, but not quite there. So what I think I'm going to have to do is add another layer of dispensers with wind charges down beneath. A bit more tinkering and I've adapted the design, and I based it on what Cubfan did in Hermitcraft. There is a composter here with a pressure plate, and next to the composter we have a whole bunch of dispensers with wind charges in. So this should be twice as powerful as the previous version. So let's give it a try. Line myself up, stand here. Brilliant. It got me the height, but I didn't go through the hole. Let's give it another go. There seems to be a fair chunk of variance with where that shoots me, so I'm going to have another think about how I can get this done. And after some experimentation, I finally have a solution, and that is sitting in this innocuous looking pile of barrels, because I have created myself down here a little room and a launch tube to give me the accuracy. So this keeps me on track when I go from these dispensers all the way up. I was also going too high, so I'm using 6 rather than 8 dispensers. But you can see here the composter, I've got all my spare bits here, and this means I can access it if I need to refill the wind charges down at the bottom. But if I close that up, head over here, and same idea. If I stand on this trapdoor, but before I do that, I'll show you what I've got here. I've also powered this obviously by some compressed and refined amethystine, and then we've got some of these amethyst buds as well. Those line you up perfectly with the hole, and I've made the hole one bigger just in case, because there's still a little bit of variance. But as you'll see when I go like this, it takes me perfectly out of the hole. So this is now a brilliant solution for another way to access this. So if I head down again, just swoop in here and line myself up again. Up I go with perfect accuracy each time, back and down and up again. And this is just generally great fun into and out of the hole, and it allows me, if I want to, just fly away and get to wherever I want as quickly as possible. Absolutely love it. But that's everything for today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you have. Leave a like. Make sure as well you leave your username if you'd like to become one of the straw statues occupying my world and bringing life to it. And I will see you all next time on ADcraft.